Rev up your engines!
Well, Stellantis shares are dropping like a stone after they got lowered profit margins. They're blaming it on China. Oh, too much competition, right? Okay, let's face it. Stellantis, which is basically now a French-Italian company. They own Chrysler, Ram, all that crap. But they're a European company, right? They're worried because now, of course, the Chinese aren't buying their stuff anymore. China, the largest automotive market in the world, they're buying more cars than anybody. But now, guess what the Chinese are doing? They are buying their own cars. Stellantis shares gone. And of course, they're making absolute nonsense. That little Fiat 500 EV is an absolute failure. They had to stop production for a while because nobody's buying them. They're piling up. They got Jeeps piled up in the United States that nobody wants to buy, right? And now their stock is starting to go. People are finally catching on to it, you know? They blame it on the Chinese because it's all the Chinese fault. And this time, it isn't just the Chinese sending cheaper cars to Europe to sell. It's that the Chinese aren't buying their cars anymore. They're not buying the Mercedes, they're not buying the Volkswagens, and they're certainly not buying Chrysler Fiat products, so they're really in a bind. Now they're getting hit from both sides. The Americans aren't buying them, and the Chinese aren't buying them either. Well, the Cadillac Escalade IQ is out, the enormous electric vehicle. They claim it has 460 miles of range. But guess what? If you want to buy a fancy one that's loaded, it's $170,000 up. We're talking big moolah here. $170,000. Who do they think is going to buy these things? So obviously it's probably got something to do with the Hummer. They got that dumb electric Hummer that they can't give away. Nobody wants it. It's gigantic too. So now they got this giant Escalade electric vehicle. They just don't understand that people that want these big giant vehicles, they want convenience. They don't have to plug it in and wait. God knows how long it would take to charge the battery of that size. This huge 9,000-pound vehicle with gigantic batteries. And if it can really go even 400 miles, those batteries are going to take a long time to charge up, even at a fast charger. And at home, whew, if you wanted to fully charge the thing, it'd take you like 14 hours or more at home with a level 2 charger that's 220 volts, not a level 1. If it was a level 1, it'd probably take like a week to charge up at 120 volts. They keep building these things. They don't think of the ramifications of them, and the prices are so high. And then GM says, we're going to make electric cars for everybody. Yeah, everybody who's got 170,000 smackers. So if you didn't get any rebates, probably be a couple $100,000 for one of these things. Who do they think they're selling these things to? Here's a hilarious one I'm laughing at. You know, Volkswagen sales are going down the toilet. They're going to shut some factories down in Germany. And the Volkswagen says, well, we're going to get rid of our cheap plastic interiors. Right? Well, I laughed my butt off. They've been making the cheapest plastic interiors for over 2 decades now, more like 3 decades. Horrible plastic crap. If you know anybody who's ever bought a Volkswagen, it'll say, plastic door handles keep breaking off. Everything cracks. Everything breaks. It's cheap plastic. Well, Andy Minter, who's the head of Volkswagen, says, and I quote him, we're going to try and kick out cheap plastic materials and put the money instead in fabrics and improving quality. I didn't even say we're going to get rid of the place. We're going to try. It doesn't mean they're going to succeed, right? Like I said, if you know anything about Volkswagens, their interiors are cheap plastic crap, and they have been that way for ages. Hey, if you go back to the old Volkswagen Beetles from the late 50s and early 60s, hey, everything was metal then. They had metal parts all over the place, right? But they got rid of that. When are they going to go back to metal? I doubt it. They say fabric. Yeah, the fabric will probably be fake fabric made out of plastic, right? Because they say, look, they might even be using recycled stuff, right? Then they'll say, well, it's plastic, but it's recycled plastic. It's better for the planet, right? And he also said that Volkswagen is planning to change the door cards, the inside of your door, that whole big area, right? Instead of a 3-piece construction, to one slab. I'll bet you dollars to donuts. That slab is going to be a piece of plastic. I can't wait till they come out and I see one, right? They got rid of the plastic, right? They made more plastic. Instead of having 3 parts, it's only one giant piece of plastic. I can't wait till they're out. And if they're all plastic, I would just laugh my rear end off. Well, here's one you can't make up. It's so hilarious. Driverless cars in San Francisco got stuck on the motorcade route for Kamala Harris while she was trying to get more money from people, right? Only in San Francisco, right? Well, it'd have to be almost only because hardly any place allows these Waymo driverless cars to actually go on a road. As your motorcade arrived at the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco, a self-driving Waymo got stuck making a turn, and a police officer had to break in and manually drive it out of the way. You know, you saw that one, they're in a parking lot in San Francisco, the Waymos were all honking at each other. Honk, 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 honk. Well, now they're blocking Kamala Harris from getting to her hotel. You know, what if it was a regular person, right? What are they going to do? This massive traffic jam for 20 miles. Nobody knows what to do. It's just they had a motorcade, so one of the cops came out and moved it out of the way, right? Well, they're not going to do it for us average people. We'd be waiting in a traffic jam because one of these stupid self-driving cars decided not to drive itself anymore. Happy Dog says, I got 2017 Jeep Grand Cherokee. The fuel gauge doesn't work. It just won't work. It won't go full. Doesn't move around. What can I do? Okay, well, unfortunately, what you have, this big Jeep, your fuel sending unit goes bad. It's a 2017, so it's 8 years old now, and they don't make things like they used to. For a long time, Jeep hasn't made things like they used to. They wear out. Unfortunately, it's a Jeep. You got to drop the gas tank, so you got to take all that crap off. It is a pain in the butt to get to it. So, numero uno, wait till you're almost out of gas. Because if you go when it's full of gas, when you drop that tank, it weighs so much, it's going to spill everywhere. At least do it empty. Or take it to a mechanic when it's empty, and you're going to get a much smaller bill because the mechanic's going to have to empty the gas out, put it somewhere, and then put gas back in. You're going to pay a ton of money. Make sure the gas tank's empty because you got to take the whole tank off, all that pain in the butt. And it's new enough, 2017, it's got all kinds of anti-pollution equipment. A lot of times the pipes will break. When you get it back together, all of a sudden your check engine light will come on because you got an evap leak. It's a very complex pain in the butt. They could have made them like Toyotas where you just take the back seat out, take some screws off. No, you got to drop the whole stinking thing. But that's Americans for you. They make stuff like crap and then they make it expensive to fix because they can. Now, you might have seen this and wondered what's going on. They're putting a little cage in front of the buttons at the gas station for which gas are you going to pick, right? Well, they're graded so you can get your fingers in there and you can push the button because, of course, you have to pick what kind of gas you're going to buy, right? You got to pick the right one. Well, you think, why are they putting cages? Are people stealing the buttons? Just like they put cages over cigarettes and stuff in stores? Well, actually, that's part of the problem. People were stealing the buttons. They were stealing the little labels. People will steal anything these days. So now, some of the gas stations, when you go to pick and you got the three choices, you got regular, medium, and high-test gas, well, now they got little bars. You can get your finger in there and touch them, right? But they're having to do it because people are stealing it, or some people are actually touching the button with the gas pump. They take the gas pump out, then with the end that you stick in the car, they're touching them. Well, it turns out that the gasoline wipes those things out. And by law, they have to have a label on them. So they're breaking the law. If people keep getting lazy and they take the gas, and, I'm not going to touch that thing. They push it with a gas pump. That wears it off, and then they're violating federal law. So now they got a cage, so you can't push it with the pump anymore. You got to stick your finger in. So, hey, who would have seen this one coming? People will steal anything, or they're so lazy they don't want to use their finger, they don't touch it. So, hey, now you got to stick your finger through a little cage on some of these to pick out which gas you want. What is the world coming to? Now, it's bad enough that when you buy gas at a gas station, you got to use your credit card. You got to put your finger in that little machine to make sure there isn't a card reader that's stealing your information. But now, guess what? Now you got to look inside the gas pump before you put it in. There are some places, this particular one was in Kentucky, that people are shoving towels and rags in the end of the pump. So now when you take out, look inside the pump before you turn it on, look on the handle, see if the nozzle's got something in it. Now, there's all kinds of theories about what the heck is going on, but the real one, as far as I'm concerned, is this. There's crooks out there, and if they have a local gas station, they shove stuff in there. One guy had a Volkswagen. It shoved all that material in his gas tank, and it clogged up his whole fuel system, and it cost them thousands of bucks to change the fuel pump, to drop the gas tank. Now, they can ruin your car, so you got to open it. Look, you see a towel in there? Hey, don't use it. Go someplace else. That means there's crooks around there that are trying to wreck your car, just like the old one where you go to the store, like Walmart, and somebody lets the air out of your tire and then comes by. Oh, ma'am, you got a flat tire. I can help you. And then they rip you off, right? Now you got to look in the gas pump, too. Jeez, what's happening to our planet? Well, the new crew made it to the space station, right? Well, then it turns out there was a problem with the booster on the SpaceX. But here's the most insane thing of it all. Now, that's going to be the rocket that takes the astronauts that went up back to Earth, the ones that got stuck because the stupid Boeing space liner, right? The rocket's there now. And they said they're not coming back until next year. So at the least, that's October, November, December, January. So we got 4 months. How would you like if you're a jet plane and they say, we're going to have a short layover here of 4 months. You could sit in this airport for at least in the airport, there's some room. Inside the International Space Station, there's not that much room. They're still stuck there. Well, at least they're bringing them more food so they won't starve to death out there, right? And even his thing, now they're not going to run the rockets anymore for a while because they had a problem with the booster. Hey, I'm not riding on one of those things in outer space. Who knows what's going to go on? But those poor people, can you imagine? There'll be a slight layover of 6 months before you can come back. We kind of screwed things up. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.